Another expensive marketing trick? Is it actually worth the money? Does it really make an artist's workflow easier? And do you actually need one? Hi everyone, my name is Dorothea. I'm a character and background artist. Welcome to my channel. Before we start, I'd like to mention that I'm currently open for new commissions. So if you need an artist who can create some characters, environments, or concept art for your project or for your business, so feel free to contact me. My email is linked in my profile, or you can just message me on Instagram. I would be happy to work with you. Okay, let's go. Today, I want to talk about this new device that finally got to me after I watched hundreds of ads for it on Instagram. Okay, enough. I get it. I'm sure you've seen these ads too and wondered whether this device is actually unique and useful for artists. But first, let's go back in time a little. So, about 2 years ago, I started thinking about buying a small keyboard or some other device with buttons that could make my work easier because my problem was that my workspace looked like this. I work in Photoshop, which means keyboard shortcuts are a huge part of my workflow. I was already used to working this way, but there was one thing that annoyed me the most. Yes, I know. You feel this pain too, especially when you have to do this kind of stretching more than once a day. To solve this problem, I was considering buying a small keyboard, maybe something from Logitech, and placing it in front of me so I could easily reach it with both hands. At that time, I was also working on a project where I had to name every single layer I created in Illustrator, so I had to use the keyboard all the time. My other option was to buy a small device with buttons that I could keep close to myself, almost like TV remote. But I put the idea aside for a while because it felt like a waste of money. Now back to the present day. I'm sorry. My matcha latte is cold already. I love this cup. That's masterpiece. Look at this. This one is from Japan. If you have a coffee or matcha business, write to me. I will make a lot of videos, a lot of content. Now back to the present day. Only recently, I decided to try something different and improve my workflow. I looked at several different devices, but I'll tell you honestly why I chose this one. First, look at these buttons. On most devices, all the buttons look almost the same. Usually, they're just placed in a few simple rows, but here everything feels different. You can turn some controls, press others, hold them down. The buttons have different shapes and textures, so your fingers can easily understand where they are without constantly looking down. You know those children's toys that are designed to develop fine motor skills? This really reminded me of that. Second, just listen to these sounds. The buttons only make these sounds when the device is turned on. Honestly, I didn't even know about this feature until I received the TourBox and turned it on at home. It doesn't exactly improve your workflow, but it's an incredibly satisfying bonus. You have to agree, it sounds like quality. Third, let's be honest, we don't have to pretend that we are all extremely practical people who only care about functionality. Just look at this design and the color. It looks amazing. They also offer several different colors. Yes, people are willing to pay extra for something beautiful. That's a fact, and I did exactly the same. The color palette and the semi-transparent design completely won me over. Also, this model is wireless and connects through Bluetooth. Now let me show you another cute bonus that came with this device. At first, I thought it was a keychain, but I think you can attach it almost everywhere. It's colorful, fun, and interesting for our generation, for my generation. This kind of things works. I have been using TourBox regularly for about 2 weeks, so here are my thoughts. First, TourBox has its own app where you can customize all the controls. When you select a specific software, you can use the default settings. This means the company has already decided which button is responsible for each action. You only need to learn where everything is, and don't worry, it's honestly not as difficult as it might seem. Or you can do what I did. At first, I tried drawing with the default controls. Then, while I was working, I started noticing which keyboard shortcuts and combinations I used most often. So I began customizing the buttons myself as I worked. And yes, I changed some of the controls several times. I needed some time to understand which buttons felt more comfortable for me for certain actions and which functions I used most often. And even now, many button combinations are still empty. Maybe I will gradually add more functions later. You can also see this little guide on the screen. It reminds you which direction on the cross-shaped button controls which action. I don't remember whether you can remove it from the screen, but honestly, it doesn't bother me at all. By the way, it is important for artists who speak 2 or 3 languages and regularly switch their keyboard language. The button combinations do not work if your keyboard is set to a language other than English. It is important because I genuinely thought I had broken my TourBox. This on screen guide also turned red, but no, everything was fine. I just needed to switch my keyboard back to English. I created this artwork entirely using the TourBox. During the first week, I was constantly looking down at the buttons before pressing them because I couldn't remember where everything was. Now it's already much easier. I'll tell you something even more surprising. It now feels uncomfortable to use the regular keyboard shortcuts again, and that scares me a little. My hand automatically starts looking for dial or knob to turn left or right when I want to zoom in or change the size of my brush. I didn't expect my brain to get used to these movements so quickly, and now it already feels difficult to go back. So there is something funny I'd like to tell you, and I think many artists will understand this. When you've been using Photoshop shortcuts for many years and your hands somehow remember where these buttons are, even when your brain doesn't actually remember the actual shortcut. I remember 6 years ago when I was a student and other students were asking my teachers how to do something in Photoshop, like fill in a selected area with color. And the teachers would say something like, you should use Control plus Shift plus something, maybe, I don't remember. But then they would walk over to the keyboard, put their hands in the right position, and suddenly give the correct answer. And it's funny and kind of cute, but that is true. And this works with me too for now. So after using TourBox for a while, I'm afraid I will completely forget how to use the actual regular keyboard shortcuts. I'm serious, that is scary. Now let's talk about price. I paid $267 plus tax for the TourBox Elite Plus Arctic series in blue, and the regular price is 297, I think. I want to make it clear that I bought it with my own money, so this video is not sponsored and this device wasn't gifted to me. And yes, this is definitely is not cheap, especially because when I first saw the photos, I thought that it would be extremely lightweight, and I imagined it something like half empty transparent plastic box with a few large buttons. But now that I can actually feel its weight and the quality of the materials, so I understand where the price comes from. And honestly, I didn't have any high expectations, but this device genuinely made me happy. That's why I wanted to share with you all the details. Also, if this model is too expensive for you, TourBox has several more simple and more affordable versions of these devices. At home, I just call it a gamepad, like for PlayStation, because it really looks like one. Please let me know what you think. Have you ever used a TourBox? What was your experience with this? And do you think it's worth the money? Thank you so much for watching this video. Subscribe to my channel for more useful and more creative content. And don't forget to like this video. I'll see you in the next one.